All right, Kevin back with you for another episode of the $1 Million Relationships Podcast. And today I am here with Alejandro Reyes. Alejandro, welcome, man. So awesome to have you today.
So pumped to Kevin. Man, so excited. I know we've known each other for a little while. We're trying to make this happen, and here we are, and I'm excited.
Yeah, perfect timing. You and I have traveled in some of the same circles for a long time. In this instance, you and I weren't introduced by anybody. We just kind of connected on Facebook a little bit, and I've been watching you and some of the work that you're doing. I'm like, man, I would love to interview him for the podcast. And it took a little bit of time to make that happen, and here we are. And I'll tell you, I have really been looking forward to this because I
Likewise.
know that this conversation is really going to inspire and impact a lot of other entrepreneurs, founders, and CEOs. And so, what I'd like to do, Alejandro, is just kind of start by I'm going to turn it over to you so we can set a little bit of context, and so you can share about the work you do, who you serve, what inspires you most about that, and maybe give a little bit of background into how you got into doing the work that you now do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the Reader's Digest version, and not everybody will understand what that means. I remember being a young kid where I lived with my grandma for a couple years, and she had these little Reader's Digests. And so
Yep.
I heard someone say that's like, yeah, it's the Reader's Digest version, just means a short version for you Gen Z folks that are listening and tuning in. But in 1999, I was 19 years old. I was about 18 and a half, getting ready to turn 19, had no car, just graduated high school, left. I dropped out of junior college after 2 weeks, and I'm like, I just know that wasn't for me. I heard about this idea of entrepreneurship and read a book on a guy from our church's library. Just grabbed it. It was by Bill Gates. It's either The
Okay.
Road to Success or The Path to Success. And I just remember skimming it. There's one part in there that just changed my life forever. And I'm talking about it here 25 years later. He said half of every dollar by 2010 will be spent online. For some reason, that was just like, I've got to figure that out. And keep in mind, I was like a 2.14 GPA student. I turned in assignment the day of that I was able to walk. And so I almost didn't graduate and walk with so like I wasn't very smart growing up, but I was smart enough, and I guess maybe not naive enough to go, I'm going to quit everything and do this online thing. In hindsight, it was a really bad idea at that time with what I did, but looking back, it's kind of part of the story, right? But I stopped, left school, and I left a job that I had. I'm like, I'm going to figure this thing out. And I struggled for a long time to really understand how to make money and do it. I think I had some knowledge, but knowledge isn't enough. You have to like apply it. You have to get some mentorship. You have to listen to podcasts like this where you get new insight and ideas. And so for several years, really struggled. I made good money and then it stopped. I made good money and then it stopped. Like, and we're talking good money for me at the time was like not having to get a job. But the reality is I probably should have got a job, Kevin. But when I got married in 2005 to my wife, Sarah, and man, we struggled the first few years. She comes from her dad's a farmer here in Washington and a very secure home. And I just knew in the back of my mind, I gotta like, support her. And I just remember the first few years, maybe first couple years of our marriage, like being in the red, the overdraft fees. I would budget Kevin overdraft fees because I just knew that I had to budget them in. And a mentor of mine, Gary Zaleski, said, Alejandro, man, if you can, I was struggling. He just really liked me, saw a lot of potential, and said, Alejandro, if you could figure out, what your passion is and find a way to get paid to do that, you'll never work a day in your life. And so what I started realizing in 2006 and seven was I loved the social aspect of the web. This is around the time where Twitter had just started, MySpace, and social networking. And so I'm like, man, I got to figure out how to make this social networking thing work. And so I got on Twitter really early in 2007. It came out in 2006. And I started networking my face off and meeting people. Got a chance to interview Gary Vaynerchuk in 2008.
Wow.
Um, and I started a local agency helping people use social media, mainly Twitter,
Okay.
to get more business. And then I Facebook was one way to start getting business and pages and things of that sort. And then got invited to Facebook ads, and that's kind of been my claim to fame over the last 15 years, 14 years is really learning how to use Facebook and now Instagram advertising to not just sell to people, but ultimately create impact to grow audiences and then monetize those audiences
Mhm,
after
mhm.
you've built trust and relationship with them. And so, in 2015, I went to go work for a startup called PushPay. It's a SaaS company in the church space, faith based. And I was employee about 25. They gave me $500,000 a month to spend on ads. And in 2 years, we went from unknown to $100 million company and almost $1 billion evaluation.
Wow.
And in 2 years, it was
That-
absolutely insane. One of the most, well, it was the most toxic work environment I've ever been a part of. But who I became as a result of a season of toxicity, like I am who I am today. And so anybody that's kind of listening, going, I'm in a season of toxicity, like I am who I am today as a result of that season I went through. I got more grit, got more, I learned a little bit more. I'm a better leader as a result. And so to wrap this up, I left that company to move to Tri-Cities. And three people reached out to me. John Acuff, Carrie Newhoff, and Brady Sharir reached out to me and said, hey, we need some help with advertising. I did not want to start an advertising agency, but I did. And that was 2017. We're 27 years in now, Kevin. And that's kind of what we've been up to. We help thought leaders, kind of big influencers that have big followings, but they just haven't figured out how to monetize. And as a result of starting that agency, we also do some consulting, helping people that have products, they just don't have the audience.
Okay.
So that's kind of what I've been up to over the last several years, and live out here in Tri-Cities, Washington with Sarah. I've been married almost 20 years, excuse me. And Sadie and Bella. And yeah, just having a great time, having a really chill business.
Yeah. So you, um, I caught that you got married in '05. My wife Lisa and I got married August 20th of '05 is when we got
Oh,
married.
we're 4th of July.
Oh, so not too far. Yeah, boy, that's
Yeah,
close. That's
Fourth of
close.
July.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll tell you, that was one of the best decisions of my life doing that,
Yeah,
man.
absolutely. Absolutely.
so, 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 wow, this man. Okay, I've got all kinds of questions, but I want I wanted to have this take a natural flow here, and so what I'm going to do is you mentioned some names along the way here, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to reiterate the question for the benefit of our listeners here, and then we're gonna get into some really cool stuff here. So Alejandro, have you ever met or been introduced to a person or persons who completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person or persons? And I'm just really
Yeah.
excited to hear your story and your experience around this topic of relationships.
Yeah, so I've got a few, looking back at people in my life, looking back at people in my life that have made that level of impact. The first one by far is my grandmother. Now,
Okay.
it's my grandmother because um, when I was 11 years old, some very traumatic stuff happened in my family where we had to go live with my grandmother. And those kind of formidable years. I'm a seventh grader, I believe, seventh, eighth grader. Um, and maybe 11 to 12, but man, my grandmother took me in, and my dad left when I was 3. And so I felt like my grandmother was like my mother, my father,
Yeah.
just like the oracle, if you will, that like the wisdom, the person in my life that, man, I would cry to her. My dad left. I would cry to her that like, man, we don't, we don't live with my mom and all these different things. And she kind of taught me my leadership style. She never wanted me to settle for like in my pity. She
Okay.
never wanted me to be a victim. She would almost like not she would almost grab me, figuratively and shake me and go and look me in the eyes and go, you are the head, you're not the tail. You have greatness inside of you. God has your back. And she would like anytime I'd ever be down, she would not even let me, have any pity or anything like that. And she impacted me in the most beautiful way ever. I would definitely like a lot of my friends that I grew up with and people I grew up with would end up like, with like 40 kids in jail, deadbeat dad. I probably had that life trajectory based on family and my surroundings. But as a result of someone really, she was the first person that truly believed in me, and intentionally said it. Like I tell my girls, I love them all the time, and I tell them why. I don't just tell them I love them.
Mhm.
I tell my wife I love her, and she asks me why. And I communicate. There's a book up there by Lencioni called The Advantage, and he talks about redundancy in communication. And so, when I tell my wife I love her, that's fine. And I say it over and over, but like I have to be intentional about it. I have to give her the context. I have to give her the why. And I don't just stop there. I keep telling her and I keep showering her. And it's the same thing that I do for my daughters. I keep showering them, giving them different ideas of why I love them. And my grandmother used to every single day shower me with affirmations, how great I was, how confident I was, how I'm like, to be honest with you, at that time, subconsciously it might have been working, but I did not. I had identity issues. I'm like, what are you talking about, grandma? And she changed my life more than anyone else because she really taught me what it was to be a follower of Jesus. And
Wow.
and that is probably the most profound thing that she ever gave me, was that. And there's been a lot of other really good people in my life, but she, by far, it's not even close, has impacted me the most. And she
Wow.
passed away in 2007. But man, she was the absolute best.
Wow. Wow. So if I it's man, I'm just the more we talk, you and I have similarities for sure. My father got diagnosed with cancer at the beginning of my ninth grade year and passed away at the end of my 10th grade year when I was 16.
Wow.
And it's interesting to hear you talk about your grandma. Um, I, I, I wouldn't wish what happened to me on anybody else, but yet that period, that year and a half period, I heard
Mm,
somewhere somebody say, what was it about? You know, re, when somebody passes away, sometimes we might regret that we didn't say things to
of
them that
course.
we wished we would have, or shared things with them. And when my father passed away, that was never a regret. I had so many conversations with my dad over that year and a half period, and nothing was left unsaid, nothing was left unturned. There was a lot of painful conversations because I knew my dad was dying, and
Mm,
but
mm,
yet, the things that he taught me, man, it still serves me to this day.
so good.
And listening to you talk about your grandma and how she saw things in you
Hmm.
that you didn't necessarily see for yourself. Yeah.
Yes.
And anybody that can do that for us, man, that's. I mean, I've had some people in my life that saw things in me that I didn't see, that
Yeah.
really I couldn't even really like really,
Mm,
and yet now it's like now I do see. and I'm like, man, thank God that they were there, that they saw that in me until I could come around to seeing and even believing in myself in that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And for you, if you look at this relationship that you had with your grandma, and if you look, I'm sure you can come up with lots of examples of this. I'll just challenge you to come up with one, and they'll probably be just
Yeah.
just immediately come top of mind. What is an example of where you got to make a really substantial and big impact, and you also know that would have never happened if not for the relationship that you had with your grandma?
Can you rephrase that? Sorry, what's something that I've done, or say that again?
Yes,
Sorry.
something that you have been able to achieve, something that you have accomplished where a big impact was made, and you were like, wow, that was really amazing. And you also know that hands down, that would have never took place if not for the relationship that I had with my grandma and the impact that she had on my life, so that I could in turn now have an impact on others.
Yeah, I think I think this was like the start of kind of my business career kind of starting to take off. I
Okay.
was named one of when I lived in California, I was named one of 15 people to watch in Sacramento. Um, they reached out, wanted to write an article about me because all the work I was doing. I would do these networking events. We raise money for nonprofits and work with nonprofits, and so this was just a few years after she passed away, and they wrote this article. And at the time, I was on every major media outlet in Sacramento and parts of San Francisco, one of the biggest radio stations in San Francisco, kind of positioning me as this. At the time, they called me this article said social marketing guru, which kind of sounds weird, but I just thought, like, man, like my life could have went a completely different direction. Now, I wasn't where I wanted to be in my life, but as a result, the impact that I had on because of the media, because the events I was doing, being
Okay.
able to get in front of people, having the courage to put myself out there, I think 100% was as a result of her. And so that is one example of just the confidence to risk it all, put
Yeah.
yourself out there, punch fear in the face and imposter syndrome in the face, and just go for it, because I can feel her shaking me like, no, you got to do this. You can do this. You're the head, you're not the tail. You're on top, you're rising. Like, she was the best hype man and is still a hype man in the back of my mind. So that's just one small kind of that event that we did. We did these networking events. It was a massive hit in
Okay.
Sacramento. We'd have 200 people a month coming out to these networking events. We did conferences with like over 500 people. And I'm just this young punk kid whose dad left him, wrong side of the tracks, literally abusive stepfather, toxic home. But you have kind of Yoda, going, this your home life, everyone died, everyone, I'm just thinking, Star Wars, but man, you have purpose, you have God-given greatness inside of you. And that's probably the tipping point of my life where I go, I would have not have been able to do this without my grandmother.
Yeah. Wow. So that that taking place and them doing that article on you, what then came from that, Alejandro? I mean, because you said, you alluded to that that was kind of like really the start of like what you're doing now, but that was the launching pad for
Yeah,
that.
that was really the launching pad that, man, you can build a personal brand, um, around the thing that you're passionate about, the thing that God has gifted you with. Uh, and that's where that all kind of really started for me. And so, although I have an agency, which I love, I've been kind of behind the scenes over the last several years, actually probably the last 10 years, And I'm slowly starting to go, man, like I want to start sharing, a little bit more about my personal brand and sharing a little bit more about my life,
Okay.
and helping more mass market than just sitting behind the scenes with my agency clients. And
Hmm.
that's not for everyone.
Sure.
But I feel like I've paid my dues. I feel like I've helped companies scale. I've helped thought leaders scale. Now I want to help, I want to help kind of, impact driven entrepreneurs, purpose driven entrepreneurs that have something they know, that feel called to, some sort of passion or gifting or talent inside. They just don't know how to get it out to the masses. And that's
Okay.
kind of where I feel my next kind of, 10 years is.
Yeah. So what, you know what, I I believe, nothing happens by accident. There are no coincidences. And, I'm looking now at, even that you and I have been kind of bouncing back and forth here as far as getting an interview on the calendar, and I know that everything happens in perfect timing as well.
Yeah.
And so with where you're at right now, I mean, what you just shared is in just such alignment with me,
Mm,
because those are the same exact entrepreneurs that I love
yeah.
serving. Is
Yeah.
those entrepreneurs who they want, they've got past the point where they need to create cash flow for sustainability. They've done that,
Yep.
and now they're looking at that what they've done and like, okay, how can I use my business to make my biggest impact in this world? And
Absolutely.
and that's the entrepreneur that man, I love serving them.
Same
So
here.
what can you what I mean, what do you see as you see yourself moving into this next 10 years? How would you like to serve those kind of entrepreneurs? I mean, what do you see right now from your vantage?
Um, like the platform you're saying?
Well, I don't know, whatever. I mean, you just feel that, yeah. I mean, whether
Yeah.
that's through your agency, whether it's something
Yeah,
else.
so our agency, we've been strategically going from 20 clients down to 3
Okay.
over the last couple years, so that I can do more consulting, coaching, working with more entrepreneurs. So for me, if someone calls me a podcaster one day, I'd be really happy about that. If someone called me a YouTuber for the second time around, our family we used to have a big YouTube channel, and worked with Disney, Target, Kohl's, Walmart. Anyways, that's another story. But all that to say, I want to I don't want to travel much.
Okay.
In my 20s, I wish I would have had the opportunity to travel. Like when people like I just traveled, I spoke at 77 that sounds atrocious to me. It sounds
Traveling and
terrible.
speaking.
With the family? Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm totally with you.
Unless I can spend time with my family, to me it sounds, yeah. So if I travel, I want to be in a position where family comes with me
Yeah.
or my wife comes with me.
Yeah.
And I want to have a podcast, want to have a YouTube channel, and I want to work with I want to have some courses that kind of mass scale. People buy them because they're good, but I want to work, in a group environment, with 30 to 50 people, and then maybe 5 to 10 of those are one-on-one. I think that's the model for me, and that's what I help other people do. And so I'm like, I really like their lifestyles. I really like their business models. I want to build that business model for me. I right now I work Monday through Thursday, 8 to 3 o'clock. Um, and then I'm done on Friday. I'm done Fridays. Fridays sometimes are networking calls and stuff, but I even want to cut that down. I kind of want to work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then spend a little bit more time doing passion projects and things of that sort, giving back to my church.
Yeah.
So for me, it's really, you hear it online, and sometimes people, excuse my language, but kind of bastardized lifestyle business, and with Lamborghinis and women and things of that. I just want to be the best dad in the world. I want to be a husband that is faithful to his wife. And I want to be able to, hey, girls, don't worry about pack. We're going to go to New York to go watch, because my girls are theater kids. we're going to go watch The Lion King and Michael Jackson. And by the way, don't worry about packing. We're in a hurry. We'll buy clothes over there. You know what I mean? Like, I wish, you know, that I don't need to be a gazillionaire, but I want to have that type of lifestyle. And that's the lifestyle I want. And that's what I'm working towards. And that dream I played out about, hey, let's go. But by the way, don't pack suit. That, like, since I was a kid, that's the kind of, like, I want to roll like that. And if that doesn't happen, whatever. But I want my family to look back like I've left a lot of money on the table as a result of prioritizing my
Totally,
family.
totally.
And
Yeah.
I love that. And so that's kind of the life I wanna live, just a chill life. People are impacted one to one in person at my church, in my local community, and then online.
Yeah. Wow. You know, the more you talk, Alejandro, you know, it's interesting because I am a husband. I am a father to 7 children. I currently am grandpa to 6 grandkids. I just found out, not this last Saturday, but the Saturday before, that my youngest daughter and her husband are going to be having a baby in December. So then we'll have 7.
Congratulations. That's
And
amazing.
my daughter, we just celebrated her 14th birthday yesterday with a big, and this wasn't even her friends. This was
Mm,
just family. 18 of our closest family members all go out for dinner yesterday.
mm.
And and so all the stuff that you're talking about, and man, what a cool vision that you have. This, I just want to be,
Thank you.
hey, we're going to go on this trip. Don't worry about anything. We're just going to go, and it just, because it just feels right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And I am totally with you that investing in experiences with family, and man, that I, I could, you and I are going to have to talk more offline because I
Yeah.
would like to
Listen, you know, I'm a paid advertiser. We talk about return on ad spend and ultimately return on investment. There's nothing in the history of mankind. I heard about this from NASA. That's a joke. There's nothing that pays better dividends and has a return than investing in your family.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
nothing, no amount of money, the joy and happiness and peace that comes from investing in your family. It pays the best ROI.
yeah,
It's better than
absolutely.
crypto. It's better than Bitcoin.
Yeah,
It's better than NFTs, than these little meme coins. Investing in your family pays the best ROI, and it's not even close.
yeah. So you planted a seed, and I want to circle back to it because you mentioned this YouTube channel that you had.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
want to I want to hear some more about that if you're open to sharing some.
Yeah, so we moved in 2012. I sold my business, my SEO agency, and we moved for my wife to go to nursing school. She always wanted to be a NICU nurse, working with little preemie babies.
Hmm?
And so when we moved there, we didn't have a lot of time and a lot of friends, and our girls were really young, and that was 2012. And in 2013, I said, "Hey, I asked her since 2009, let's start a YouTube channel. Let's start a YouTube channel." And I'm the outgoing one. She's kind of more introverted for sure. And she's like, no, no, no. And I'm like, hey, here's my pitch. Let's do a YouTube channel. We get to take videos. If you know, we get to take videos of our girls. Like, so my pitch was two things. We get to take videos of our girls and remember them by, and two, we get to show people out there what a good, wholesome, decent marriage is. Because in the YouTube space, there's just a lot of fake families that, you know, tell their kids, hey, I want you to say this. And it's just very fake. Just like, you know, social media, so much of it's fake. And that's kind of our idea. So we did it, and we met some big YouTubers over the years, and we grew a little bit of a following to the point where, you know, we daily vlogged every single day. My wife edited, we shot and edited, and it wasn't Mr. Beast, but it was daily vlogging, family vlogging when it was bigger back then. And as a result of it, you know, Target reached out, Disney reached out. You know, we traveled all over the United the on the 10. from in a big ol' RV, across the country in a commercial. That commercial was on ESPN, ABC. I had friends from high school. Like, dude, I just saw you on TV.
That's
And
awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome.
my girls were on Disney commercial. So we had a chance to work. And the crazy thing is, I was at the time I was working at the university where my wife went to school. So we made like six figures 2 years in a row, because these big brands reached out and wanted, and I had some friends that taught me how to negotiate with brands, and that was just a great season. And we don't have the biggest following, but brands were trying to reach out to Hispanics. And so we were the largest Hispanic family on YouTube. And so they wanted to work with us and get in front of our audience. We would get free rentals, we would get Walmart would send us tons of toys. But all of that was fun. It was amazing. We may end up picking it back up because we want to cherish these next few years before our girls go to school. So we're thinking about it. It's been like 6 or 7 years since we've done much. But all that to say, just looking back, it was well worth it, not because of all those experiences going to the Sears Tower and Disneyland and New York City and watching Lion King, but like looking back every once in a while, go watch videos of my girls when they were younger. And you just can't recreate that. And so
Yeah.
we're just
Yeah.
glad that we were able to capture footage of that. And so just a pleasure. It was so much fun.
Well, I'll tell you, I think as your girls continue to grow and get older, having that
Oh yeah.
for them to look back on is just going to be so
Mm,
valuable for them.
that's good.
Yeah, and you guys too. And you guys too. Well, I'll tell you, Alejandro, that the goal for this podcast has always been really simple. Is I have always just wanted to use these interviews to
Mm,
inspire other entrepreneurs to place
mm,
an intentional focus on creating more real, meaningful, rewarding, and profitable relationships in their own lives. And
mm,
with your help, today we definitely achieved that. We definitely delivered on that.
mm.
And I want to thank you so much for taking the
Yeah,
time to have this conversation.
absolutely.
Is there any website or resources that you want to share for anybody listening to this going, man, Kev, I really like Alejandro. Is there a way for them to find out more about what you guys are doing and stuff?
Yeah, the best place would be probably my Instagram, at Alejandro Reyes. It's the same thing on Facebook if you're more on there. And then, relaunching my podcast called Holy Hustle. And yeah, those are the best places to connect.
Awesome. Perfect. Any last thing you feel led to share before we call it a wrap?
No, I just thank you so much for your time and give me the opportunity and space to connect with your listeners, and really grateful for the time and conversation.
Absolutely. Well, thank you as well. This was an absolute honor. I'm excited to get this out and share it with a lot of other entrepreneurs. So thanks again.
Thanks so much.